So let's start with the simple pendulum. This is the C part of the chapter, or the first chapter. It's very small. There's like hardly 2-3 sides, and again very simple numericals are there in this part of the chapter. Okay, so now where is a pendulum used, guys? Basically, so it is used to measure what? Time in the pendulum clock. So a simple pendulum is a device which is used to measure time. Just like we use beam balance to measure the mass, pendulum is a device which is used to measure the time. Like you might have heard of, grandfather's clock, what they call, which is a pendulum clock, basically those old clocks. Now, how they make a simple pendulum first? So if there is a rigid support, so say out here we have a rigid support from where we have suspended a string. Okay, there is a string, and at the end of the string there is a bob. So what does a bob mean over here? So any heavy mass can be used as a bob. Like if you have a stone, a heavy piece of iron, a weight or something, anything which is a little heavier can be used as a bob. Okay, now this point from where you suspend it, okay, this point from where you suspended it, it is called as what? Point of suspension. It's called as point of suspension. Okay, this is called as what? This one, what you can see here, this is called as what? A string. Okay, the string which is used to hold the bob, and this is called as the center of the bob. So this point is called as the center of the bob, or the center of gravity of the bob. Now the distance from the, so let's say, the distance from the point of suspension from here till the center of the bob, or the center of gravity of the bob, which is also called as center of oscillation, till there, it's called as the effective length. Okay, so what does L stand for? Effective length. L stands for effective length. So I'll just write over here, say effective length. Effective length is equal to L, is equal to capital L plus small r. So what is capital L? That's the length of the string, and what is R? The radius of the bob. So if you see, actually it is the length of the string plus the radius of the bob here. Okay, so that's called as the effective length. So they may ask you to define effective length. It's the distance from the point of suspension to the point of oscillation, or the center of gravity of the bob. Next thing is, what do you mean by an oscillation? So what do you mean by an oscillation? So the to and fro movement of a bob is called as a oscillation. So let's say you pull this, let's say we pull this bob of a pendulum here. Okay, and okay, so we start from, say, this point A. So let's say you pull it to the point B, first from A to B, and then release it. So then what will happen? What will you notice? Once you release it, the pendulum will keep on oscillating from here to this, then it'll go there, and then it will come back, and then again back to B. Correct? So that's how it will keep on oscillating. So the to and fro movement is called as what? Oscillation. But what do you mean by one oscillation? So one oscillation means what? When a bob will travel, say it is going from, first it is going from, say, A to B, correct? Then it comes back from B to A. Then again from A, it will go back to another point C. And then when it is coming back from C to A, okay, then it is called as a one complete oscillation. Okay, so what is one complete oscillation here now? So one complete oscillation is equal to what? When the bob is moving from the A to B, back to A to C, and then back to A, Abaka. Remember, abaka. That is one complete oscillation. Is it clear? Next thing is what do you mean by time period? Now, what do you mean by time period? So, the symbol for time period is capital T, and the unit in which we measure it is what? Second. Now, what is a time period? It is a time required for one complete oscillation. Meaning, when the bob was moving, okay, when the bob was moving from, say, the point A here. So, when it was going from A to B, back to A, to C, and then back to A. So, the time which it took in all is called as what? Time period. So, time period is the time required to make one complete oscillation. Okay. Then next one is the frequency. Now, what do you mean by frequency? So, frequency is given by the letter F. Okay, small f, that is the frequency. So, frequency is measured in what units? Hertz. Now, what is frequency? So, frequency is the number of vibrations made in 1 second is called as a frequency. Okay, so the number of vibrations which happens in 1 second is called as frequency. For example, if I say frequency is 5 hertz, what does it mean? That this pendulum will oscillate 5 times in 1 second. So that is called as the frequency. Okay, and time period is what? Basically it is 1 upon frequency, reciprocal of frequency, or frequency is what? 1 upon time period. So more the time period, lesser will be the frequency. They are inversely proportional. And the last term is the amplitude. What do you mean by amplitude now? So what is amplitude? First of all, it is given by the capital alphabet A, the symbol, and its SI unit is what? In meter. What do you mean by amplitude now? So amplitude is the maximum displacement from mean position on either side. So when this distance, look, from A to C, this is called as what? Amplitude. Same way there is also amplitude on the other side from A to B. Got it? So what is amplitude? The maximum displacement from mean position to either of the side is called as amplitude. Now this position is called as what? Mean position. See, this position is called as what? Mean position. Okay, mean means what? The resting position. If you let a pendulum or the bob of a pendulum rest, it will come to mean position. Then C is called as what? Extreme position, meaning the highest point to where the bob can reach. Same way, even at end B, there also we've got what? Extreme position. Now, what is the velocity of the bob? 0 at the point C. See, the speed of the bob at the point C have to be 0. Otherwise, what will happen? It will keep on rising further. But as I said, that's the last point, the farthest point where the bob can go. So there the speed must be 0, or the velocity of the bob is what? 0. Okay. So these are all the technical terms and all which you need to understand for a pendulum. They can ask you all these definitions also, which I've mentioned over here: effective length, one oscillation, time period, frequency of oscillation, the relation between T and F, and the amplitude. Okay. Now, next thing, now we'll discuss about the factors which can affect the time period. So now there are two factors which will not affect time period. I'll repeat once again, guys. Right now we are discussing the factors which will not affect the time period. Okay, so the two factors not affecting time period. So these are the factors which will not affect time period. Now, why are we discussing the factors which will not affect time period? That is because usually it is misunderstood that these factors will affect the time period. That's why they have specified that these are the factors which will not affect the time period. Okay. Now, to remember these factors, you need to remember Ma, M and A. Ma. Remember M, A, Ma. Now, what are these two factors? So m stands for what? Mass of the bob. So whatever is the mass of the bob, it is not important. It does not affect your time period. Okay. And the amplitude, meaning how high the bob is going, it does not really matter. But when they say how high, that doesn't mean you do not rotate it 360 degree or 270 degree, like in a reasonable amplitude. Like instead of 30 degree, if it is going up to 60 degree, it's okay. You not that you move it to, like, say 180, 200 degree or something. So mass and amplitude as such do not affect. Now you may be wondering that how come amplitude does not affect? That's because, let's say if this is your mean position A, from here you are pushing the bob till B, and there is another option, say you are pushing it till the C. So here it is A to B and there it is A to C. So as we see, when the bob will move from A to C, it is obviously going to cover more distance. So ideally it should take more time. But what happens, when it is going from A to C, though it is covering more distance, but at the same time, it is also going more faster. So because it is going faster, what will happen? Because it is going faster, what does it mean? That it is going to take less time relatively. So you got it now. So over here the speed is compensating for the distance. Okay, and from A to B it was going slower relatively. Okay, so these are the two factors which will not affect the time period. So here when I say if the bob is made out of gold or it is made up of out of iron, it will not matter, remember. So whatever is the mass, it does not matter. So whether it is made up of gold or if it is made up of iron, the time period will remain the same. Okay, so they are of different masses, both of them, right? Obviously because the densities are different, but your time period would yet remain the same. Now next thing, now we are guys learning about the factors which will affect time period. So factors affecting time period. What are the factors affecting time period now? So factors affecting time period. There are two factors which will affect the time period. Okay, now so for this one you can remember LG, one of the very popular brand for television and washing machine and basically electronics. Okay, now what are the factors now? So the first factor is the length of the pendulum. Guys, remember when they say length of the pendulum, they mean from where to where? So when they say length of pendulum, they basically mean the effective length only. Length of pendulum, which means what? L. Okay, which is equal to what? Length of the string plus the radius of the bob. Now how does length affect the time period? So time period is directly proportional to square root of length. In simpler words, it means that if you increase the length, the time period must also increase. Okay, so they are directly proportional. Now how does it affect? So let's say if you make the length 4 times, what's the effect on the time period? Square root of 4 is what? 2. Got it? How I got the answer 2? You just put the value of L in that formula, root of L, root of 4, which is what? 2. Same way, if your length is made 9 times, then your time period becomes how much? 3 times. If your length is made 1/4, then your time period will become 1/2. And if the length is made, say 9/4, then the time period will become what? 3/2. So basically what you need to do is all is just the square root and you will get the time period. Okay. Now next thing. Now there are two applications in this one. Now see, what is the first application? Okay, one more thing. When I say T is proportional to L, okay, so now if I square over here, what will I get? If you square this, what will you get? You will get T squared is proportional to L. Okay, it means the same thing. Like here, instead of root L, I'm writing what? L over here. That's all. Now what are the applications in this? So see, there are two very commonly asked applications. The first application, the first application is, they can ask you that why does your pendulum clocks go slow in summer? So see, in the summer season, what will happen? The temperature will increase. When the temperature increases, the pendulum which are made up of metal, they will expand. Okay, we are talking about the pendulum clock. So those metal the metal pendulum will expand. If it will expand, it means what? Length of the pendulum is increasing. So its time period is increasing. So its frequency is decreasing, and hence that is going slow. I might have spoken a little fast, but you can pause it. Again, think about what I've written. You'll get the answer. Okay. So easier way to remember what we know out here, that S is for summer and S is for slow. So in summer season, what will happen? The bob of a pendulum, the time period of a pendulum will increase. So the pendulum is going to go slower. Now another application, let's say here we have two identical swings and two friends of the same mass, exactly of the same mass, identical friends, identical person. Okay, one of them is sitting on a swing and the other guy is standing on a swing. So which one will go faster now? Now see how to decide this. So first, remember, always we need to calculate what the effective length. How do you measure the effective length now? From the center, from the center of the bob, which is here, from the center of the bob. So did you notice the center of the bob or the center of gravity is not same in both the case? Why? Because in one case the person is standing, that's why. So the distance from the point of suspension to this, and measure the distance from point of suspension to this. Okay, this distance, got it? So if you notice, this distance is what? It is greater in case of the distance is greater, meaning more effective length basically. Okay, are you getting the logic? Why is there more effective length here? Look, this is the reason, it has got more effective length. Now if the effective length is more, it also means it will have more time period. That means lesser frequency, and that means it is going what? Slower. So while you sit, it will go slow, and while you stand, it will go what? While you are standing, it will go faster, and while you sit, it is going to go slower. Okay, so this was the first factor. Now the second factor. Guys, what's the second factor now? So in the second factor that we are discussing, that is about the acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. Now what is acceleration due to gravity? G. Okay, what do you mean acceleration due to gravity now? So time period is inversely proportional to the square root of gravity. Got it now? The time period is inversely proportional to the square root of gravity. What does it mean here? That if you increase the gravity, the time period have to decrease. They are inversely proportional, just like frequency and time period. Now, how will it affect? So let's say if the gravity became, say, 4 times, what's the effect on time period? It will become half, correct? Because it is 1 upon root of 4. Look, 1 upon root 4, so it will become half. Same way, tell me, if the gravity becomes 9 times, what's the effect on the time period? It will become 1/3. Now, if the gravity 3, say if it becomes 1/4, how much will be the time period? So now you'll do what? 1 divide by root of 1/4. So that will become how much? Reciprocal, and become what? 2 eventually. And same way, if the gravity becomes, say, 4 upon 9, what's the effect on time period? 3/2, because square root, and then you'll have to also do what? Reciprocal, because it is 1 upon. Okay, I hope you've got this, how to find out the value of time period if they've given the gravity. Now, next thing, number 2, what we are going to do is, now there are some applications here also in gravity. Now first application, if you go, let's say we are traveling from Earth to Moon. So when you're moving from Earth to Moon, what will happen to the gravity? It will decrease. So the time period will increase. Correct? Because they're inversely proportional. It means your pendulum will go what? Slower. So if you take a pendulum from Earth to Moon, it is going to go what? Slower comparatively. Number two, let's say if you take it to space, so what's the gravity in space? It is zero. If the gravity is zero, it means what? That the objects or the pendulum will float. So if your object is floating, you know what happened to your time period? It will be infinite. Why? Because once you start the pendulum, let's say you leave it from the extreme position, the bob is never going to come back to its starting point. So the time period is what? Infinite. If the time period is infinite, then the frequency is what? Zero. Because it's not making any oscillation only. So they can ask you this application also, that what will happen to the frequency. Okay. Then another thing, okay, also remember one more very important thing we have learnt in motion also, that gravity is maximum at the surface of the earth. When you go upwards, gravity will decrease. When you go towards the center of the earth, then also gravity will decrease. In fact, if you go to the center of the earth, there the gravity is what? Zero. Okay, so either ways it will decrease. Now next thing, if they ask you to draw a graph to show the relation between t versus root L, time period versus square root of L. So we've already learned what is t versus root L. They are directly proportional, and we've learned in the graphs in motion that how to draw this graph. So you'll draw just like this. So guys, if you check the same figure in textbook, they've given a figure 1.17. You will find a little bit more complicated. They've drawn those dotted lines and all that. You don't need to do all that. You can just draw this one simple graph, t versus root L, and this line. Also notice that the graph does not start from the origin. It will start from somewhere in between only. Okay. The same graph, they may also ask you to draw a similar graph for t squared versus L. So if you remember, even t squared versus L was what? Directly proportional. So again your graph is going to be like this only, in a straight line. Like, and I'll just show you. There is no change in the relation, right? They are still directly proportional. So this is how your graph is going to be. Very, very important graph. Do not forget to label the axis, and it's always asked usually in the exam for 2 marks. Okay. Then next thing now you need to know is that what do you mean by a seconds pendulum? So what is a seconds pendulum? So seconds pendulum is the one which will have a time period of exactly 2 seconds. So that pendulum which takes only 2 seconds to make one complete oscillation is called as a seconds pendulum. Okay. Second thing, what will be the frequency of such pendulum? It is 0.5 Hertz. What is an approximate length of such pendulum? It is 1 meter. The effective length of such pendulum is what? 1 meter. And so this is the pendulum of a clock. The pendulums which are used in a clock are basically seconds pendulum. So these are the ones which we use in the clock in a house. Okay. So this is all you need to know about the seconds pendulum. Very, very little. They've just given a few lines or a paragraph about a seconds pendulum. Okay, so one more thing, that this pendulum which we use in a house, in a clocks now, these are not simple pendulums actually. They are compound pendulum. So you don't have more about compound pendulum. Basically, if you remember, we discussed, that in the summer the pendulum clock will go slower, in winter it will go faster. This is what happens with simple pendulum because they expand and contract. So compound pendulum are made in such a way that they will not expand nor contract even during the change in the season. So they are made in such a way or with different metals so that they do not expand or contract. Basically, their point of oscillation does not change. It will always remain the same only. Okay. Now guys, the formulas. What all formulas you have in this chapter? So first formula is that T is equal to 2 pi square root of L upon G. Second formula, T1 upon T2 is equal to square root of L1 upon L2. Third formula, T1 upon T2 is equal to square root of G2 upon G1. And the fourth formula, T is equal to 1 upon F. Okay, so write down all these formulas also. We'll need them in our when we do it in the class. Okay, so yeah, done guys. That's all in the pendulum. We'll be discussing the numericals in the class itself. Okay.